Hello, everybody. Dr. Nikhil Verma here with another edition of Things I Didn't Learn in Med School. Today, I want to talk about the buzzword of stem cells and their equivalents, as there's a lot of marketing confusion out there. And I want to talk about what's illegal and what is legal to use for orthopedic and musculoskeletal conditions. So, you might have heard these terms of stem cells, Wharton's jelly, umbilical cord or umbilical cord blood, placental/amniotic fluid tissue, exosomes, and mesenchymal stem cells. Out of all those things that I just noted, mesenchymal stem cells are the only legal ones to use currently in the United States. I'm not going to get into the potential benefits of these other ones and what they may or may not do. But I want to really educate my followers and my platform on what these clinics are doing illegally and why my practice doesn't even flirt with those waters. I'm not going to get too much into the definition of each one of these because it's going to take too much time to do so. Maybe I'll have a more elaborate conversation on this in the future. But I want to start talking about what the FDA has stated. There are 0 exosome products that are FDA approved for any therapeutic use as of 2026. There are 0 Wharton's jelly, umbilical cord, and amniotic products that are FDA approved for musculoskeletal conditions or orthopedic conditions. I cannot speak confidently about this in other fields. For example, wound or other systems. So I'm not going to talk about it confidently, but I will talk about it confidently. There's not even off-label use for these in the. So I want you to keep that in mind. The FDA classifies all of these as unapproved new drugs and unlicensed biological tissues. When used or symptoms, they fail to meet the HCT/P criteria on treatment. They are not homologous use, meaning they're not using your own body's function. And they're also considering these a different tissue type when re-injected into an organ. Number 2 is to process these cells, process the cord tissue. You have to use certain techniques. And these techniques fail to meet the requirements of less than minimally manipulated tissue. So when we do our platelet-rich plasma or our mesenchymal stem cell, they have FDA-approved technologies that allow us to use minimally manipulation to these tissues to process them to be able to re-inject. And that's what makes them legal for orthopedic conditions and these other tissues not legal. There is a legal pathway. I do want to be clear about this, and that is to have an independent investigational new drug application submitted and authorized by the FDA. Now, the marketing scheme that all these companies in the US are doing currently, and all these biotech labs and the sales reps that are knocking door to door, they're saying we are FDA registered, hoping that the physician, the patients, and even the salespeople don't catch on to this difference. This is clear as white and black. It is written in stone. This is the law in the United States. So for any company that is out there that is injecting Wharton's jelly, umbilical cords, amniotic products, exosomes, they're breaking the law per the FDA. I am not going to get into any arguments with anybody if it works or not. Again, that's not my point of this video. The video is for educational purposes. I have a lot of colleagues asking me, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I have friends that are coming to me. I need you to meet this exosome company. It's a great product. They might work. They might have great studies out there, independent studies, but they do not have the FDA authorized investigational new drug application. And that is a limiting factor. There's another common trick that all the sales people and the marketing companies are doing. They're saying that these stem cell products have a stem cell count of this and they have exosome count of this. The problem is multiple studies have shown over and over again that Wharton's jelly and cord blood, umbilical cord blood, actually have no functional living stem cells. So I want you to keep that in mind. If someone says, "Oh, we can inject with millions and millions of stem cells," it's not true. Period. This has been shown in studies over and over again. It's marketing. I get it. It's the buzzwords. I get it. But this is why there are practices out there and physicians out there that are arguing against this case. This is why we don't do my practice. I talked about that. This is why I don't even offer it or entertain the reps that come through the door. Most of the times, the reps don't even know these stipulations and guidelines, which makes it very, very interesting for them to sell you something that's illegal. They don't care. If they sell their product, they make their money. It falls on the practitioner. If you do something illegal in the FDA's eyes, you could get your license taken away. The problem outside of that is most of the time the FDA doesn't necessarily care about individual practitioners. They want the home run hitters. So they are more frequently going to go after the big labs. Here an example of a list of labs that have been under scrutiny and actually have FDA letters and shut down in the past years. Regenerative Labs, Neobiosis, Chimera Labs, Evolutionary Biologics, Cara Biologics, New Life Medical Services, Platinum Biologics, that comes with a little caveat, Burst Biologics, StemMel, and many more. There's over 5.1 million penalties against these stem cell treatments in 2025 alone. That's crazy. Some of these companies will encourage you to bill Medicare, but that's illegal because these don't even have FDA-approved applications right now. So that's something, if you're a physician watching this video, to look out for. There's also been a lot of documentation of issues that have arisen with these treatments. And some of these issues that arise could where physicians would inject it into the eye and cause blindness, injected it into the intrathecal sac and caused paralysis. These are a couple of more known issues that have happened. You've also seen a lot of stem cells infections through the blood when we did do IV stem cells. And it's generally considered less than standard of care in the regenerative medicine orthobiologics field. So if this does happen and a